Hey everybody, Jane here, and today I'm doing my March Mystery Madness wrap-up. If you don't know what March Mystery Madness is, I will link the announcement video from Sarah the Bookish Knitter below. So basically, the idea was to read mystery books in March, and we were given prompts that had to do with the title of the book. I didn't finish all of my prompts or all of my books, but I'm just going to go through with you what I at least made progress in. The first prompt is single. So it could be a single word in the title, a word in the title that has to do with single, anything like that. And for that, I read, or almost finished, Clue. This is a mystery involving the characters from the board game. I have not yet finished it. I am a little more than halfway. I am enjoying it, but it's definitely one that I want to read in kind of smaller doses. So while I did start it, I did not finish that one. Not the greatest start for this video. The second prompt was number, and for that I read 13 at Dinner. This is a Poirot mystery where there is an actress who goes to Poirot and says she needs a divorce from her husband and she'd like Poirot to help her with that. He assumes she means murder, and she says, no, you're just a very intelligent man. I want you to talk to him and ask him to give me a divorce. Poirot does. The husband says, sure, you can have that divorce. And then he ends up dead. And of course, the wife is the main suspect. I ended up giving this book a 3 out of 5. It was fine. It was a nice Poirot. I always love Poirot. This had Hastings in it. I always love Hastings. For me, Agatha Christie is sometimes really brilliant, sometimes really awful, and sometimes kind of just in between, a nice little mystery. And this was one of those nice little mysteries. I think the biggest thing that I didn't love, and this is something that just her books tend to do, there were a lot of characters, and it was sometimes really confusing who was who, especially because, of course, everybody has first names, last names, occasionally you have a nickname or a middle name, and there was actually a scene in this book, in the reveal, where I thought the characters that Poirot was in the room with were actually, at least one of them was a completely different character. So I was completely confused with what was going on because I was like, wait a second, isn't that the killer? And then it's like, oh wait, that's not who's in the room. So it was just a little bit on the confusing side because of the large cast. It was a lot to keep up with for me. But not a bad Poirot. Again, I have that issue with Agatha Christie a lot. The next book the prompt was a person, and I have not started that book yet. That was Lucky's Number that I chose for it, and like I said, I haven't started yet. The next was a place. This book I chose for the place was the Lighthouse mystery from the Boxcar Children, because I also was doing middle grade March. This book was fine. I rated it a 3 out of 5. I loved this series when I was a kid. It's about a family of kids who go to live with their grandpa, and they have mystery adventures. It is definitely a younger middle grade book, and I had a lot of nostalgia for it when I picked it up, but I didn't end up loving it the way I had loved it as a kid reading the series. So I don't know that I'll read any more of these. It was fine for a middle grade, but as a mystery, I didn't super love it. The next prompt was Space, and that book I had chosen, I have not started either, nor did I do the prompt for time. So not great, 3 that I didn't get. The next prompt though was Color, and I started but DNF'd Blue as Blue Jeans. This book is about a woman who works in the library. She is married, she has adult children, and she is, apparently at some point there's going to be a dead body found, but 50 pages in, nothing of the sort was happening, and there was just a lot of personal drama with her and her one daughter, and then her and her sister, and I wasn't into it. And part of it maybe I'd never read any other books in the series, so maybe I'd have been more interested in the interpersonal drama, but I just wasn't. I wanted a mystery, and I didn't get it, and by 50 pages, it was too much interpersonal drama and not enough mystery, and I just wasn't feeling it. The last prompt was weather, and for that I read Heatwave by Richard Castle. For anybody who doesn't know, there is a TV show on, or it used to be on, called Castle, and it is about a writer who goes and like asks if he can watch the police force to get inspiration for his books. And this is a book that's supposed to be written by him. And I did listen to it as an audiobook. It was fine. It was a 3 out of 5. It was better than I thought it was going to be, but it still was basically just fan fiction. The mystery itself was okay. The mystery is a real estate tycoon falls from a balcony, and, you know, is it murder? Is it suicide? If it's murder, who murdered him? Why? And our investigator on this is Nikki Heat, who also is like meant to be the girl character in the Castle TV show. And there's a boy detective guy who's very in love with her. And I will say, like, this book, I felt focused a little too much on their relationship. It is kind of that, you know, Castle from the show just being in love with I don't remember what the girl from the show's name is, but Nikki, his character. And there were times that I was just like, could we get back to the mystery? Because it's fairly short. This was only 6 discs long. And I wanted them to get into the mystery and stop making googly eyes at each other so much. But the mystery was fine. I did not guess who done it. I probably should have, because it used a trope that I'd seen elsewhere this month. And so when they did the reveal, I was like, oh, okay, I probably should have seen that coming, since that trope is kind of common, and that was one I'd seen in another book this month, but I didn't guess it. I had a good time. If you like Castle, you'll probably appreciate this. If you don't like Castle, you probably don't want to bother with this. But it was fine. It was very fanfictionist. I did listen to a couple reviews from people, and they said that the physical book had some errors in punctuation. Of course, I was listening to the audiobook, so I didn't notice any of that, but I did want to point that out if you have the physical copy. I will also say that for the audio, I had some issues with the narrator. I felt the narrator was fairly inconsistent. There were times that he would change, and I almost was like, wait, is this the same narrator? Like, he would just do things very differently. So I didn't love the quality of the audio recording, but the story was fan-fiction-y, but fine. The last book I read was part of the group read, and it was The Bachelor Girl's Guide to Murder. And of all the books that I read this month, this was the most disappointing. I had the highest hopes for this because it is everything I typically love. It is a historical, we've got the private investigators, you've got some girl power stuff going on. Oh my word. I really thought I was going to love this, and I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5. So the first thing I will mention is that this is a Christian mystery, and I don't necessarily think that's a problem because it doesn't like push religion down your throat, and that wasn't the issue. But sometimes in Christian romance, you have a style that is very drawn back. The style of this very much reminded me of Jeanette Oke it's not a real close style. It's very narrator way back here telling a story. And I think that for me really hurt this book. This book is about 2 friends who are not married and who are living together, and the one decides that she wants to open a detective agency. She has read a lot of Sherlock Holmes mysteries and is pretty obsessed. Her friend, who is not nearly as obsessed, decides, okay, that's fine, we'll do that. And there is a recent murder that's happened that they start to investigate. For me, the stylistic choice to be really withdrawn made it hard to care about the characters. The characters themselves, the girl that I liked the most was the one who was not really the main character. There's Miranda and Jem. And Jem was a character I really didn't enjoy. She doesn't make sense in a lot of ways. I didn't understand why she had the relationship she had with Miranda. It wasn't very, like, developed. We just know that her parents disapprove of it and have basically disowned her for having this friendship, and yet I don't really understand why they're friends because they're so different, and Jem is always like the prim, proper, good Victorian girl, and Miranda is the I don't care what people think of me, I'm gonna live my life Victorian girl. Also, so much of the book focuses on the romance, and there's like kind of a love triangle that happens with Jem and two different newspaper reporters. And I wasn't fully sold on the romances. The one reporter, his kind of thing that was holding him back from a relationship, I got, but I thought it was kind of stupid. And I really just wasn't jiving with it. Now, there are things that I enjoyed about this book. I don't want you to think it was a complete awful book. And if you don't mind that really withdrawn writing style and that omniscient narrator, you may not mind it. Omniscient is a hard sell for me. The only good thing with the omniscient narration in this book was this book has some really funny footnotes. Let me see if I can find one. So there's stuff in the book that they will footnote down at the bottom, and it is just half the time a hoot and a half. It is so fun to read the footnotes about things that we didn't see on the page, although sometimes I think they could have been stuff that was seen on the page. But one of my favorite books of all time, Good Omens, does a very similar style when it comes to the footnotes. And of everything in the book, the footnotes and Miranda were the best parts. So, the mystery itself, I did not end up enjoying. I thought the reveal was kind of a letdown. I kind of didn't know who did it, and then when I did know who did it, just didn't feel like it made a lot of sense. Yeah, it wasn't a good match for me. So, I think that was probably a minority opinion also, because I had watched the live show that Sarah and some of the other hosts of March Mystery Madness did, and they seemed to have enjoyed the book. They did not have the qualms that I did with it. So, for me, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it because of the writing style being so pulled back. I didn't enjoy it because I didn't think Jem was an interesting character, and I wanted much more of Miranda, who was the interesting character. And the mystery wasn't great. The romances I had some issues with. It just wasn't a great fit. So, if you participated in March Mystery Madness, please tell me what you read and if you liked it. If you read the Bachelor Girls Guide to Murder, which was the group book for Sarah's channel, did you love it, or did you have some of the same issues I did with it? And finally, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe if you are not already subscribed. I am also an author. I write primarily romance, so if you are interested in that, please check out my books below, in the links below, and you can check out my social media below as well. Thank you. This has been Jane. Bye.